Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. This video comes from Phoenix Police Department. An incident that occurred on February 11th, 2022, where multiple officers were shot in one incident. This footage was released, and as of recording, February 23rd, this is the only footage or recording that has been released by the Phoenix Police. I suspect that as time goes on, more stuff will be released, but this is the only thing that so far has been released. I'll do a video on this one, and of course, when other videos get released by them, I'll do Monday quarterbacks on those. But since this is the only video they've released so far, I'm going to go ahead and do a Monday quarterback on it, and we'll just wait for more stuff to come out. Without further ado, here we go.
Come on. Come on. You're sucking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you? No! I've been shot. No!
All right, so that was a very short video. This is the first officer to be shot in this incident. So some background information on this incident. On February 11th, police got a call about a woman who'd been shot inside a home around 2 a.m. They get there, and this is the first officer who gets there. He gets shot by the suspect, Morris Jones. Another officer there returned fire, which caused the suspect to scramble back inside before firing more shots at the police. The suspect tried to flee by ramming a patrol car with a vehicle but failed. As backup officers arrived, they set up a perimeter around the home. Another man came out of the house carrying a little baby girl. He placed that little baby girl on the ground and then had his arms raised and surrendered to the police. 4 officers moved in to get the little baby girl off the ground, and the suspect ambushed them when they got to her. He shot 4 of those officers. All 4 of them were hit by gunfire, and an additional 4 officers on top of that were wounded by shrapnel and ricochets. 2 officers immediately returned fire as he barricaded himself in the home, and he was later found dead. The suspect's ex-girlfriend was identified as the woman, and she ended up dying later. The baby is unharmed, and the other man who was inside the house, which is believed to be the woman's brother, nothing indicates that they've faces any charges for anything. And the baby girl, thankfully, was unhurt. So that was basic information I've got. Phoenix Police have not released anything else other than this video clip, and we'll play it. I'll play the beginning of it one more time.
Come on. You're sucking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
Damn. So, the police respond to this call involving a woman who has been shot. And it does not appear as though this officer has a rifle out. And we can't see the other officer who's there, but based off some of the sounds in the background, if that was him doing a return fire, it doesn't sound like it was rifle fire. But I mean, I don't know for sure. This is a pretty common thing for police in this country to respond to calls involving gunplay, and they fail to get out of their vehicles with a rifle in hand. It is my belief that if you are going to a call that involves gunplay, you 100% need to have a rifle out. Or a shotgun if that's all you got. You need to have a long gun. Those will end fights faster than a pistol. They're more accurate and they're more lethal. They are better at incapacitating a threat. The only reason that we carry pistols is because they're comfortable and convenient, and because we're not getting in gunfights every single day, multiple times a day. If officers were getting into gunfights every single day, multiple times a day, I believe that mindset would shift. People would start to embrace, hey, it's a war zone. We need to carry rifles or get out with rifles more often. But because that's not happening, and because majority of officers and agencies in this country go without ever having to shoot or anything like that, they build this muscle memory, I guess you could call it, on always getting out and just going at it with a pistol on their side and never thinking about grabbing a rifle. Tactically, this is wrong. Tactically, this is a recipe for disaster to always go to these kind of calls and never have a long gun out. I would really like to see a paradigm shift in how officers across this nation go to calls involving guns, go to calls involving deadly physical weapons. If you know that there's a good chance that there's going to be a gunfight, responding to a call that has involved a gun, you should get a rifle out. There's a good chance, or there's a higher possibility that you could be involved in a gunfight. What do you want in a gunfight? Do you want a little pistol, or do you want a big old rifle? I want a rifle. So because there's not officers getting in gunfights every single day, multiple times a day, there's not a need or a want for officers to constantly have their rifles on them. And so they're just used to always having the pistol on their side. And that's where the comfort and convenience comes into play. It's a lot more comfortable and convenient to carry a pistol all day than it is to carry a rifle all day. You can carry a pistol on your side 8, 10, 12, 16 hours out of the day, and it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Now, of course, when you add all the other stuff into the duty belt and the vest and everything, yeah, that can take a toll. Start having back pain. But all in all, carrying a pistol on your side for several hours a day, it's comfortable, it's convenient. It doesn't really get in the way. If you were to carry a rifle all day long, well, that would get in the way. It's not as comfortable and convenient as a holstered pistol on your side. It takes up a much larger footprint. Trying to get out and walk with it, having it to your front, the barrel's always going to be banging into your legs and your junk and all that. Going into a building, the muzzle or the buttstock's going to scrape up against the wall. Moving inside quarters, it's going to, the muzzle or buttstock can knock into stuff, knock things off tables and counters and stuff like that. They can be heavy. Of course, you can go a little bit minimalist and have lightweight stuff on there, but still, it's a rifle. It's not like a pistol, and it's just they're not comfortable. They're not convenient to carry all day long. If you've ever carried a rifle for several hours out of the day, you're going to know what I mean. It's just they're not comfortable or convenient, but they will knock your dick in the dirt a lot faster than a pistol will, and they're great for having in gunfights because you can stop the threat a lot faster than you can with a pistol. You could be more accurate with a rifle. If you watch this channel long enough, or you've watched multiple videos like this, you will see that there are a lot of misses with officer-involved shootings. And that's because we're dealing with pistols with short barrels. And the minimalist amount of movement within a short barrel like that is going to cause or can lead to a lot of misses. Now, there's other factors involved like training and stuff like that, but overall you see a lot of misses with pistols. And when it comes to rifles, you have more points of contact on that rifle, longer barrel, a little bit more accurate. And so with rifles, I believe that we would probably end up seeing a lot less misses in these kind of gunfights. And these gunfights would not last as long. This incident would not have lasted as long if, let's say, the other officer who was there had a rifle and he returned fire. I believe that if the other officer who was there had a rifle and he returned fire on this guy with that rifle, he would have been more accurate, and it would have taken only a couple rounds to put this guy down, and he would not have been able to go retreat back inside the house, take a hostage, barricade, whatever. He would have been dropped right there outside the house. Now, of course, they still would have had to have gone in and do a safety sweep and all that, but the threat would have been stopped a lot sooner. And I think because the officer who did end up firing probably had a pistol, that probably led to the fact that there were some misses. Now, the suspect could have been shot. I don't know. They didn't really release any information. They said that one report I've read said that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But that doesn't mean he couldn't have had another gunshot wound on him, so, like in the leg or something like that. So, again, details on this are pretty slim, but I believe that if the other officer there had a rifle and was able to return fire, he would have knocked that dude's dick in the ground, and it would not have led to an additional 8 more officers being injured. When I first watched this video, I thought there was something up with the way the guy was trying to summon the officer over there. It just, I don't know, it sounded weird to me. And of course, watching it multiple times, you can obviously tell he's trying to bait this officer to get closer to be able to ambush him. But when I first watched it, without even knowing what I was going to be looking at, I still thought there was something weird about how this guy was talking. And I have no idea if the officer there had any inclination or same kind of thoughts about this dude being a little off. Not really sure. But that's something to think about, reading people's body language and their speech, like how they're talking. If someone's off, like they're going to be a little off, and that should be sending up little flags, raising the hairs on the back of your neck, like, hey, something's not right here. So if he would have perceived that, could he have had his gun out and ready? Possibly. I mean, I definitely think that a gun should have been out if they're responding to a call where someone's been shot. But this dude's odd behavior could have led to him being, hey, something's not right here. And go ahead and have his gun out and ready. Or instead of just blindly walking in the house, have this guy come away from the house, get him away, and then do a safety sweep.
Sucking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on.
So we can see that both hands are visible at this point. He's got a cigarette or something in one hand, and we see this other hand exposed.
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Then he transitions his left hand to the other side of his body where you can't see it, and he's obviously getting his gun at this point.
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
And then, boom, he attacks. There's not much, you can do at this point when it's an ambush like this. action generally beats reaction, and unfortunately, officers are always having to react to what someone is doing. It's not often that the police get to initiate action on someone and cause them to have to react. It's usually the suspects who get to initiate action and the police have to respond to it. So this is obviously prime example of that. This guy initiated the ambush and the officer's having to react to it, and action beats reaction. So this guy's already got his gun out. He's going to fire it around before this officer can even turn and start to run. He gets hit, according to the little informational slide on there. So he's unable to even get his gun out. Even if he was able to get his gun out at this point, standing there obviously is not going to work. His gun's already holstered. This guy's already got his gun out, and he's shooting at him. Standing there and trying to get the gunfight, it's not going to work. He has to tactically retreat at this point. Do the Nike drill.
It's me.
So he falls to the ground. He recovers rather well, in my opinion.
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you?
So he recovers after being shot at and shot. Does kind of he falls to the ground, does kind of a roll, gets back up, and he just starts running. And this is really the only real true option that he has. The guy has already got the beat on him. He's actively shooting at him. He's been shot. He can't just stand there and duke it out with the guy. It's not going to work. It's not like the movies. He's going to end up getting shot. So he has to retreat to somewhere to get cover and try to get his gun out. Now, being shot multiple times, he's unable to return fire due to severe injuries to his right arm. So this is where non-dominant shooting training and practice comes into play. If your dominant hand is taken out of the fight, how are you going to continue the fight? Well, you need to use your non-dominant hand. You need to use one-handed drills. And that is something that some places will train on it. They'll show people how to do it, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot of practice in it. And I think that you need to do a whole lot of training and practice on one-handed weapon manipulations. How are you going to fire a gun to slide lock one-handed and then reload it? Have you thought about that? How would you reload your gun if you only have one working hand? How are you going to reload your gun if it's you having to use your non-dominant hand? How are you going to rack the slide on that gun if only one hand is in play? If you get a double feed, how are you going to correct the issue with one hand? Trying to figure that out in the middle of a gunfight is not the time to be figuring that out. Figuring that out needs to come before the gunfight. It needs to come in firearms training on the range. So if you've never practiced or done any one-handed manipulations, you need to. You need to do it first under an instructor who can teach the right practices for it. Once you've learned it, then obviously go practice it on your own. And when you go out to shoot, you should incorporate some non-dominant hand shooting from time to time just to keep fresh with it. Because just like everything else, there is a expiration, so to speak, on your skill set. You have, if you don't do something after a while, your skills sort of diminish, and so you need to be able to practice and keep those skills up. So anytime you go to the range, of course, do your standard stuff, but also throw in some non-dominant shooting in there as well, and manipulating the gun, doing reloads and stuff like that. Keep fresh with it. Now, we don't see anything else after this point. We just see the officer retreat down to the end of the road here.
I've been shot! 999! I've been shot!
We see what maybe is his car, and then we see someone else's car. And I would say one of these is the backup officer who got there and returned fire. Now, this is, like I said, this is the only footage that has been released by Phoenix Police so far. I suspect that more stuff will come out, but it's only, at time of recording right now, it's only February 23rd, and this incident occurred on the 11th. So I would suspect that they're still going through footage, because, you got to think there's multiple officers there at this incident, so they got to go through all the footage, redact stuff, do the whole community briefing presentation thing, and then someone sitting there talking and reading a script. That stuff has to be edited. So there's going to be time involved in trying to get stuff out. Now, I would suspect that the reason why they went ahead and released this is to show the public, hey, this is what happened. This dude ambushed an officer, and this is why police ended up having to shoot at him. And there was another agency that I forgot who it was. I just did the recent video on them. They released a video without. It was Jonesboro Police. That's who it was. Jonesboro Police. They had released camera footage without any type of briefing information in it. It's just raw body cam footage. That's it. And I think that some agencies are starting to do that. They'll just release a little snippet of raw footage just to get ahead of the people out there who want to heckle the police and say bad things. Basically getting ahead of the public opinion, so to speak. If they can get this little information out there, be like, hey, this is what really happened, before all the rumors and crap set in, then it helps the image of the agency, and it sets the facts straight. And sadly, we're living in a time right now where even when there is footage that shows everything that goes on, there are still people who will make shit up and say that the police did something wrong and murdered someone for no good reason. It's like factual information just does not exist for them. It's almost like they have a scotoma and they just can't see the facts that are right there in front of them. These people, they're almost the same as people who believe that the earth is flat. They're just flat out fucking stupid. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fucking stupid people like this in this country. And there's more people who are closer to being as stupid as they are, but not as stupid, but they're pretty gullible, and they'll believe that shit that the stupid people talk about. And agencies are having to do this. They're having to release little snippets of stuff out there to get it out to the public, like, hey, we did nothing wrong. This is what happened. So I suspect that's what has gone on here. They wanted to release something really quick to kind of show the public, kind of like a little appetizer, I guess. Like, hey, this is what happened. And then they'll end up showing more as they're able to cipher through all the data, all the body cam footage. You got to think there's probably hours and hours of footage they got to go through and get it pieced together. Officer, such and such got here at this time, put that in queue. The next third officer in line, get his in line, the fourth, etc. So it's going to take a little bit, I think, before they can release a good community briefing video showing more details of the incident and more camera angles of what went on. Medical gear. So this officer has been shot and he has to retreat pretty far away from his vehicle. And we don't know when exactly he gets to return to his vehicle. Obviously, his vehicle is in front of the suspect house. It obviously may not be a good thing for him to try to return to his vehicle to get any medical gear because it's in the hot zone, so to speak. It's on the X. That's where all the bullets are flying. So if he kept all of his medical gear in that car and he can't get to his car, how the hell is he going to provide self-aid to himself? Now, I don't know if this officer had medical gear on him or not, but let's just assume, hypothetically, he did not have any medical gear on him, and he's bleeding. He's bleeding severely. What's he going to do to stop that bleeding? Of course, a lot of people say, oh, you can improvise a tourniquet from your belt. Kinda. It's not going to work as good as an actual real tourniquet, but you can kind of make it work. But now, once you take your belt off, are your pants going to stay up very well? Maybe, maybe not. What if he needs to move again? What if the bad guy starts to advance on his position? What's he going to do? Try and hold his pants up with one hand and run? And then, no, like, that's not a good viable option. You could just end up dying with your pants around your ankles. Like, how shitty would that be? End up getting fucking shot and killed with your pants around your ankles. Like, that would suck. So I don't think that trying to improvise a tourniquet with a belt is the best option. You should be carrying medical gear on you. It's my belief that if you carry a gun on a daily basis, whether you're paid to carry that gun as a job or you are carrying for self-defense and you're just a regular person, if you carry a gun on a daily basis, then you recognize the fact that you could be involved in a gunfight. Why else would you carry a gun? Now, of course, yeah, there could be someone with a knife. But if you're carrying a gun on a daily basis, then you recognize that some type of deadly physical encounter could occur. You could be shot at. Someone could come at you with a knife. If someone shoots you or stabs you, you're going to need medical gear, right? If you're a person who carries for self-defense and you carry a gun with the mindset that you need that gun right now and then because it takes too long for the police to get there to protect you, then you should also carry that same mindset with medical stuff. You should carry medical gear because it takes too long for an ambulance to get there to save your ass. You get a femoral artery hit, you can bleed out in 90 seconds. There is no freaking ambulance in this world that will get to you in 90 seconds. 5 to 7 minutes is more likely on a good day as far as a response time. 5 to 7 minutes. You could be dead within the first 2 minutes before anyone could ever get to you. You have to carry medical gear on you. If you're going to carry the tools to induce trauma, you need to carry the tools to reduce trauma. Your first line medical gear needs to be a tourniquet at bare minimum. And you should also have some compressed gauze or a pressure bandage to be able to stop bleeding on gunshot wounds or stab wounds. You can also throw in some type of airway, like a nasal pharyngeal airway or something like that. A little roll of duct tape, I think, would be a great addition to that. Duct tape sticks and stays better than, you know, the little medical tape. You can just do bare minimum like that. You can even go just bare minimum of just a tourniquet only. If that's all you carry, then hey, you know what? Great, because there are a lot of people who don't carry any medical gear on them whatsoever. They have the mindset that they'll just rely on the ambulance to get there in time to save their ass. So at bare minimum, you can carry a tourniquet. But you can carry more. You can carry more. There are medical ankle holsters you can get. You can buy a medical ankle holster with nothing in it and take your own stuff and stock it in there to your liking, or you can buy a fully loaded medical ankle holster that has stuff in it already. Whichever way you want to go, I think that's a great option. I have a video on here about a medical ankle holster. Highly recommend you check it out. I carry a medical ankle holster on a daily basis. I have a pocket VOC in there. The pocket VOC I got from Tactical Response. Inside this pocket VOC is a TK4 tourniquet, compressed gauze, gloves, duct tape, nasopharyngeal airway, and a decompression needle, if I remember correctly. I've also added a little pocket CPR face mask in there as well. And that's what I carry on a daily basis. I carry that all day. When I wear shorts, I just take the pocket VOC out of that compartment on the medical ankle holster, and I just put it in a pair of short pockets and carry it with me. It's small enough to go in a pocket, doesn't really take up a lot of space. It's not very bulky or anything like that. Hence why the name is called a pocket VOC. And a VOC, if I don't know if I mentioned it, but VOC, VOK, stands for Ventilated Operator Kit. So you can obviously buy pre-made kits like that. You can make your own. You can buy these individual components and kind of piece stuff together. Whichever way you go, you need to carry medical gear on you. You cannot rely on this mindset that the ambulance can get to you, because it may not be able to get to you. For example, this incident, it's a hot zone. The guy's barricaded. He's shot at officers. The scene is not secure. An ambulance is not going to pull up and park in the middle of the fucking street right here, and the EMTs get out and start working on people. They're going to be staging multiple streets over because the scene's not safe. Are they going to get out on foot and come down here? No, not likely. Not likely at all. You're going to have to go to them. What if you can't move? You're non-ambulatory. Then what? Then you're going to have to rely on someone else to get your ass down there to the ambulance or get you to the hospital. Time is of essence. In pre-hospital care, there's a couple terms that we use. One is the Platinum 10. This is the first 10 minutes of some type of traumatic injury. You've got 10 minutes to be able to make a difference in someone's chances of survival with pre-hospital care. If someone has a traumatic enough injuries and you're able to provide care to them within the first 10 minutes of them getting that injury, you increase their likelihood of surviving by X amount %. I don't know what those numbers are. It's been a while since I've looked at them, but you increase their odds of survival. The other term is the golden hour. If you can get someone to hospital, not just get them to the hospital, but if you can provide pre-hospital care to them and get them into a doctor within an hour, that's called the golden hour, and you increase their chances of survival by a lot. As I said, you can bleed to death in 90 seconds from a femoral hit. If you get hit in the femoral artery, you can't wait on an ambulance to get to you. You'll be dead before they ever get there. So you have to be able to treat those kind of injuries yourself. So your first line medical gear, it has to be on you. and it can be as non-invasive as a medical ankle holster. It could be a small kit that you can throw in a cargo pocket. There's a company that makes a kit that slides down into the opening of your vest where your armor panel goes. If you wear an outer vest with your agency or your company and you can add a IFAK pouch to it, then great. Then you can carry more medical gear on you. Even if you have just the classic Class A uniform, you can still carry medical gear on you via the ankle holster, and no one's going to notice. Chances are you probably got an ankle holster on anyway. No one notices that shit. There's really no excuse why you shouldn't carry medical gear. And I don't want to hear cost as an excuse because you're probably already blowing your money on stupid shit anyway. Like Starbucks coffee or, fast food, stuff like that. And, hey, I waste my money on that stuff too, but I've also prioritized and gotten the necessary, critical equipment that I need. So I can continue to, blow money on stupid shit. But if you don't have tourniquets and you're continuing to spend money on stupid shit, then you need to reevaluate your finances and prioritize. If your agency or your company is not providing this stuff to you, well, you're going to have to get it on your own. And chances are, you probably had to buy some stuff on your own anyway to make work more comfortable for you. Your own socks, different, better style socks, footwear, cold weather kind of undergarments to bit insulation to be able to put on under the uniform to keep you warm during the cold months. Summertime, maybe you've had to go buy one of those vest vents that you attach to the AC vent on your car, and you run the tube down your vest to, beat the heat in the dead of summer. And lots of agencies across this country, officers have to buy simple shit like a vest, their own bullet resistant vest. There's some places where they have to buy their own gun, buy their own handcuffs, buy their own duty belt. That is a reality here in America. There are a lot of agencies out there across this nation that are poor and they can't afford a whole lot, and the officers end up having to foot the bill and equip themselves, essentially. A friend of mine, he got hired at a small agency, and his agency was not able to provide a vest. He had to borrow a vest from a mutual friend of ours who owns a security company. A fucking security company furnishing equipment to a full-time police officer. Like, how fucking asinine is that? Like, that is dumb. That is stupid. But that is the reality for a lot of agencies in this country. A lot of agencies are small and they're poor and they don't have a whole lot of money. They can't go out and afford all this stuff. They can get grants and stuff like that, but if it's a person who's not very fluent with, grant speak and how to word stuff and or even know where to go to apply for grants and stuff like that, they're not going to get it. It's not like you can just throw your name in a hat. Like, you have to put some work in on a grant. Like, there's a lot of writing involved and stuff like that. Like I said, if your agency's not providing this stuff to you, then chances are you've already had to buy stuff on your own anyway. Even if it wasn't like big pieces of equipment like vests and belts and shit, you still had to buy some stuff for work, for creature comfort purposes. And when it comes to life-saving equipment, then you need to buy that stuff. You need to buy a tourniquet. If that means that you need to stop buying Starbucks for a week or stop buying McDonald's for a week and just make you some ham sandwiches to take to work and eat for a week, then so be it. Suck it up and do it. Like, get yourself this critical equipment that you need. Chances are you probably never will need it, but it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. It would suck to be in a situation where you're pinned down in an area and you can't get back to your car to get your medical gear, and you have to watch your coworker bleed to death and you can't do anything for him, or you bleed to death and you can't do anything for yourself, or you try to fashion a tourniquet out of your belt and then you die with your pants around your ankles, and then everyone has to come up and see you in your fucking underwear. There's like that sucks. Like, that thought sucks. Like, there's no decency in that. There's screw that. Like, get a fucking tourniquet. So first line medical gear you need to carry on you, and the stipulation with first line medical gear, in my opinion, is it needs to be reserved solely just for you and your teammates and or family. No one else gets the privilege of using your first line medical gear, with the exception of children. The reason why I say that, let's say, hypothetically, in this scenario, they shoot the bad guy, he goes down, he's been shot in the leg, they go up, they put a tourniquet on him, and let's say the brother or something that was in the house went crazy and decided to come out and start shooting, and then you or your partner got shot. Well, if you only had that one tourniquet and you put it on that dude, and now you're shot, your partner's shot, what are you going to do? Are you going to take that tourniquet off that dude and put it on yourself or your partner? I don't think so. I mean, you could, but I don't think that's a very good option. The only time your first line medical gear can be used on anyone else other than you or a teammate or family, the only time that I think it can be used on someone else is when you are 100% sure, 110% sure that there is no more fighting to be had. Because the minute you put that tourniquet on someone and there's more fighting to be had and someone else goes down, well, you just took your own, maybe your only life-saving piece of equipment and put it on a fucking criminal, and now a hero's bleeding out and you need a tourniquet for them. And as I said, the only other exception to that, I think, would be small children. Like, I would have no qualms if in the middle of a gunfight something's going on and, you know, I'm able to put a tourniquet on a kid, even though I think there could be some more fighting going on. I would for sure, you know, do that for a little kid or something like that. But anyone else, they can wait for the ambulance, or they can wait for your second line medical gear to be put into play. And your second line medical gear can be the stuff that stays in your car. It could be a large trauma bag with all kinds of different stuff in there. It could be just a simple IFAK bag in there with some additional little things in there to be able to supplement what you carry on you as your first line medical gear that you've used. So if you carry a tourniquet on you and you've already put it into use and you need some supplemental gear and you can get to the vehicle, well, then bam, you've got some supplemental gear to supplement what you've already put into play. You can have an extra tourniquet in there, put that extra tourniquet into play somewhere else, get some gauze out, some pressure bandages, stuff like that. Get that stuff on people. So medical gear needs to be first line gear and second line gear. First line gear is on you, and it's only for you, teammates, and family. And then supplemental gear can be in the car, and that can be used to supplement what you've already used, and or be used as a standalone for everyone else. Along with carrying the medical gear, you need to have the training. So just like you can't, without ever having had any firearms training, go buy a gun and start wearing it and expect that you're going to be good at it, we all know that that's not good. That's going to end disastrously if you have to end up using a gun and you've never practiced or trained with it and you just bought it and you started carrying it. Like, that's not going to end well. And the same is true with medical gear. You can't just go out and and buy a tourniquet and not have any idea how to use it, have it preloaded, have it set for you, or even how to utilize it. So you got to have the training with it. I don't believe that YouTube is a substitute for good training, but you can go to YouTube and look up videos on how to apply a tourniquet. That could be a good foundation of knowledge in a pinch, but you need to get hands-on training on how to apply a tourniquet and other medical stuff. Now, a lot of agencies and companies will provide a first aid class, a CPR, AED, first aid. That's good for minor boo-boo stuff, in my opinion, but it doesn't focus too much on traumatic care, how to deal with gunshot wounds and stab wounds. And that's where having someone in your agency or company who does have experience with this stuff would come into play, being able to teach everyone, hey, this is how you put on the tourniquet, and then you do some evolutions where you put tourniquets on yourself and or on other people. You got to get that playtime in with a training tourniquet on how are you going to put this tourniquet on your injured left arm with just using your right arm. Like, how are you going to do that? Like, you need to do that in the training environment and figure that shit out then, versus you buy this tourniquet and you put it on your belt. You've never played with it, never messed with it or anything. You get shot in the arm. You're throwing blood out like a freaking garden hose. Now you got to figure out how to use this tourniquet. That is not the time to figure out how to use that damn tourniquet. You need to figure it out in the training room, in the training environment. So you get the medical gear. You got to get the training to go with it. Now, even if you don't get some good quality hands-on training with the gear and you still carry it, it can still be useful. Just because you don't know how to use all that stuff doesn't mean that someone else doesn't. And this comes into play when people talk about decompression needles. So there are some IFAKs, individual first aid kits or improved first aid kits, whatever flavor you want to use, blowout kits, whatever. Some of those kits come with a decompression needle, and people will always argue, well, you're not trained on how to use a decompression needle, you shouldn't carry that. Well, it doesn't mean that someone else there wouldn't know how to use it. There could be a paramedic there who knows how to use it, who's off duty, or it could be someone who used to be a paramedic and is now the police, but they don't have the equipment. But hey, here you got it. You got this decompression needle. They know how to use it. They can put it into play. Same with tourniquets. I mean, tourniquets I think are pretty self-explanatory, but even if you just don't know how to use a tourniquet properly, someone else might know how to use it properly and could put it into play. So even if you don't have good, like EMT level kind of medical training or anything like that, you can still carry your medical gear and put it into play, even if you don't know how to use it, because other people could be able to put it into play and use it effectively. But you should still get that knowledge on how to use that stuff. And not just for the possibility of being involved in a gunfight or a deadly force encounter where you've been shot or stabbed or something like that, but because you're more likely to come across medical emergencies than you are violent things like robberies or, shootouts at the OK Corral, whatever. You're more likely to come across a car accident than you are to come across an incident where you might have to end up shooting someone. We spend a lot of time in and around our vehicles, and you think about all the car wrecks you've come across versus all the times you've been mugged. Think about all the times you've come across car wrecks versus all the times you've been involved in gunfights. I'm willing to bet you've come across more fucking car crashes than you've ever been involved in gunfights. Probably never been involved in a gunfight, but you've probably come across several car wrecks. And from that standpoint alone, it just makes more sense to carry medical gear on you. That way, if there is a bad car wreck and there's some kids who got fucked up and they're bleeding out and they're about to die, well, you can save their lives. Even if you don't know how to do all that stuff, there could be like a nurse on her way to work or his way to work. There could be an EMT on their way to work or something like that, and they don't have all the equipment, that they would carry on their ambulance with them. But if you've got this medical gear and you run up there and you can drop this bag and someone's like, hey, that's a trauma bag, and they start digging through there and find the shit and put it into play, then guess what? Some little kid's life could have been saved or something like that. So, the possibility, like I said, of coming across car wrecks is way, way, way higher than being involved in gunfights. Even stuff at home. Cleaning out your gutters, falling off the ladder, home accidents. Like, you're more likely to come across some type of medical emergency / accident than you are a freaking gunfight. And from that standpoint alone, I think that's why it's important to have medical gear to be able to respond to those kind of medical emergencies and provide that pre-hospital care in a timely manner, reach that platinum 10 before an ambulance can ever get there. Like I said, it can be like 5-7 minutes before an ambulance ever gets there on a good day. Sometimes, if you live out in the country and, it could be 10-15 minutes before an ambulance gets to you. That's a long damn time. But yeah, medical gear. Get it and learn how to use it. Not much else, I guess, to say about this video. Whenever they do release more videos, obviously I'll do Monday quarterback on them. But as it is right now, there's nothing else to say on this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.